This is the last one in a series of the three that came before, and I'm really happy that you joined. We already tried setting up your presentation, Ding, so I will just give your bio, then you can share your screen and start. So today we have a really interesting speaker here, Ding Tong. She's a senior research scientist at Netflix, and there she leads the research and developments of the machine learning algorithms to enhance the Netflix homepage recommender systems. And her expertise spans recommendation algorithms, bandits, reinforcement learning, user modeling, and system optimization. And she focuses on creating scalable, personalized experiences for all of Netflix users. And next to this, she's a sponsorship co-chair for RecSys this year. And she's also been an active PC member for both RecSys and dub. And she is a dedicated mentor and supporter of multiple women in tech initiatives. And she continuously works to foster diversity and inclusion in the tech community. So we're really happy to have you here today, Ding, and I hand it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carly, for the introduction. And also, thanks so much for having me here. Really like my great pleasure. And it's so great to see so many fellow women in RecSys here. I personally have been a big fan of RecSys, women in RecSys, and I benefit a lot from the previous activities. Sharing my screen. Okay, you can all see my screen, right? Awesome. So today the topic I hope to discuss with you guys are towards a healthy recommendation ecosystem. Um, this is with a bit context from Netflix, and like we'll be talking through. In the end, I will also be talking about some of my career path reflections. So, before we talk about the recommendation ecosystem, the first question is why? Why are we talking about this topic? So, for that, let's take a look of the overview of recommender system. When we think about recommender system and Netflix, it's very often that we focus on the user side, thinking about what we can do to make them happy and satisfactory, right? And one thing that's really important to notice is that a recommender system is actually a two-sided marketplace. So first, we need to have the creators produce the content and then serve through the system, and then the user can enjoy the recommended content. The feedback of the users will then be fed into the system and help make the creators make better content. So, uh, here there are two sides, creators, kind of like, on the supply side and users on the demand side. It's important for us to think through about this ecosystem. So, talking about recommended content, what are them at Netflix? We know traditionally, like in the past 10 years, there have been lots of TVs and movies on Netflix. And exciting news is that we are in recent years adding different types like live. For example, like Netflix is a joke and Netflix Cup, and also some like games. So those are all like heterogeneous types on our platform for like different recommended content. And those are all like making discovery really hard because there are different types. And then to add upon that, uh, Netflix is known as like not have a huge catalog of recommended content compared to other user-generated platform like YouTube or TikTok, right? But a special thing and also like a big challenge for Netflix recommended content is that it has a super long duration of user engagement. Like once users started to enjoy the content, they are likely going to stay there for super long. So it's very important for us to make the recommendations accurately because we want to seize every opportunity that the user discover a new content they would love. And the third challenge I'll be adding on top of like why discovery is hard is that every content is just like a sunk cost for Netflix. What does this mean? Like none of the content comes free for Netflix. Like no matter we are like licensing the deals or like we are producing the content, it will be a lot of investment for Netflix. So if we cannot find the match the user for the content, it will be like sunk cost. We know in recommender system, it's always easy to find match the user for most of the items, but it is always hard to find the match the user for every content. And that's what we are having to do at Netflix. So part of our challenges. With these challenges of discovery, what do I do? Next, I'm going to tell some of the secret if you're ready. Netflix secret codes. If you Google Netflix secret codes, then Google will tell you immediately like what they are. They are basically like some secret codes to find specific content types on Netflix. And it went really viral on the social media platform in the past few years, like on Reddit and Pinterest. And in the end, last year, like Netflix has to publish some of the secret codes as it has been discussed so much. So here are some examples. The secret codes are basically the group of contents. Like for example, like if we are thinking about different groups here, like 90 minutes movies or binge-worthy British crime TV shows, like those are will be like a group of contents, and in each group or category, there will be like a different content under it. And why do we do this group of contents? The answer is that it helps with the discovery problem and it solves the challenge of discovery in many ways. The first is that you can think about like when a new content comes in, we can put them into these groups or categories we already know, like for example, like 90-minute movies, right? So this is a way for our user to explore new contents on our platform. And also, like as each group, they have a name, which is just like an explanation of what the contents in that group are. This is able to provide us a way to capture users' precise moods with explanations. Like for example, like we are explaining what the shows are. They are binge-worthy British crime TV shows. And a third benefit is that it can help with some like very niche discovery. Like a user, if they have some niche interest, like cyberpunk, they can just like find from the group of contents that of cyberpunk and then view all the shows under it. So that comes to the way of Netflix recommendations. It basically it's like recommendation via roles. If you look at the Netflix homepage, you may notice that like almost everything is recommended by group of contents. For example, like we have top 10 TV shows in the US today on the homepage, and we have like today's topics for you. So those are just the different group of contents that we capture user interest for. And there are also like many heterogeneous type of groups, like where we call this roles. Like for example, for a career, New Year, like we will be crafting a special role just for that to celebrate and capture users' interest. And also there are many forms of such roles. For example, for user to discover popular mobile games, like we will be crafting them in this way. So this will be like a different type of role that we recommend. And sometimes we are even recommending the roles that are not at the show level. Instead, like for example, for kids, we have these characters where like if you go there and you will select characters and discover multiple shows. So, in summary, group of contents, or like we call it roles, are basically the recommended item that we have on our uh, recommend platforms a lot of the times, especially for example, homepage. And this is a way for us to help user discover our contents. So, combined with the two-sided marketplace we just talked about, you can see here, like what we really want to do is that we want to create a flywheel. Like we wanted to be able to first like have more roles, more different types of roles to capture different user moods and interests on our platform. And these roles, of course, like they will be serving more content. This is because all of our content, they are captured by at least one of the roles. And roles are the ways of us serving this content. So more roles will lead to more content being discovered by the user. And hopefully this gives us like more user leading to user satisfaction. And based on those feedback and those supports, we can generate more content, which then comes into more roles. So this flywheel is really like what we want to achieve by talking about this like a healthy recommendation ecosystem. So then the problem is, how do we build this healthy recommendation ecosystem? So here, talking about ecosystem, we borrow the idea from biology and think about what's a healthy ecosystem over there. So like are a few characteristics we can think about. For example, productive, resilient, and diverse. So those are exactly what we want to achieve by talking about a healthy recommendation ecosystem here. So in the next, I'll be talking about these characteristics of the three. Okay, so coming to the first characteristic, productivity, the question we want to ask ourselves here is really like focusing on the creator side. Uh, so it's like zooming out of the recommender system and think about how we can better empower our creators on the platform so that they can build better content for our users. And in the context of Netflix, the question we want to ask is, how do recommender systems empower our creators? Because they are like in-house, they are working with us. Like together, we build more and better roles so we can serve better content for our users. So what do we do here? The first one, or like the lessons we got for like as we empower these in-house creators is that fairness is really, really important. This is also because our creators, they have been always producing so many different types of uh, items on our platform. So we will need to operate in trade-offs across many dimensions. So a few examples here. Some of the roles, they are popular versus some of them, they are less popular. They like we call it long-tailed, basically because they receive very few impressions. Then how do we make sure those roles, like no matter like popular or not that popular, they are starting on the equal foot? Similarly, like also come to the co-star problem, like we have some existing roles and we have some new roles. How can we make sure they are treated fairly? Uh, this question also comes for like a global roles, those roles that we are able to serve a lot of users versus some roles like we are only able to serve with a very small population. Like for example, a local city, like how do we balance them and make sure like they are treated fairly? Also, like other examples can be like different UIs. We talked about like a lot of the roles with different displays on our platform, and those different displays can often lead to like clickbaits in our system. So, like while we are incorporating the signals, how do we make sure they are treated fairly instead of this very different engagement signals from the user? So those are like all the questions we need to answer here. And on top of that, like there's a lot of literature in this field about group fairness, but what we really need to guarantee for our in-house creator is really individual fairness, because when they launch a new role, for example, we need to make sure this new role is starting in a fair way compared to the previous roles. So, what do we do across so many dimensions? The approach we have been doing so far is basically like through multiple iterations. Like we know this question is hard. It's especially hard if we make it right at the first time. So then the first step we are having here is really to discover from data what are the unfairness patterns, like what are people complaining about, what are headroom of the roles where we are not able to serve in a fair way. And from there, we can use different techniques of model training and then to overcome these different unfairness patterns. And then we will be doing A/B testing for it. So hopefully from the A/B testing, we can see our recommender system being improved and then repeat this loop. So, okay, this has been working good so far. And is that enough? The answer is no. So we found that, like, in addition to fairness, it is really, really important for our models to have better observability. So, what do we mean by observability here? Traditionally, like when thinking about observability, we often think about like the observability as the model observability. Like, are we able to know the model output really well and be able to explain it? And what's more important here that we found throughout this journey is that the item observability is also very important. What do we mean by item observability here is basically like when we serve an item on our platform, are we really able to know the performance of the item, which is separated from the model's performance? For example, like if we are seeing an item not doing very good in our recommender system, like for example, either like low impressions or it could be like low engagement, then is it because our model is not doing a good job of recommending this item, or it's just because the item like it naturally has poorer performance compared to other items? That's the question we want to answer here. And why do we pursue the observability? The first one is that, like, if we are able to provide our in-house creators this item observability, like the performance comparison between items, then they are really able to have some like apples to apples comparison, iterate and improve. So they next time they can create better items. And it's also benefit for us as the creator of the models. So this way we can identify the gap, especially in alignment. Uh, uh, and especially when we have like multiple recommenders working together at the same time. So with that comes to the common pitfalls that we have observed over the years about observability. The first common pitfall is that there is just a little observability into the black box, because we know model like it is often just like a black box that's hard to explain, right? So the little observability is for sure one of the common pitfalls and something like we really want to avoid. And another common pitfalls we have seen, like when observing how people build their recommender system, is that like they have some types of observability, but they ended up with biased observability. The problem is that there are so many possible bias throughout the feedback loop of the recommender system. Like for example, the popularity bias, unfairness, or like exposure bias, position bias. These are all like arising at a different stage of us building the recommender system. And those bias, for example, presentation bias, can easily lead us to biased conclusions from the observability. For example, like maybe like we are showing our creators for like two items they produce, and one item is having better engagement than the other. Uh, Sometimes those creators can draw a conclusion that, oh, this is because the item A, which has a better engagement, will be having like a better performance than the item B, which has lower engagement. But this might not be true. For example, if our recommender system is serving the recommended item A at a better position most of the time, then this conclusion can easily come from some position bias instead of really that the item A is doing better than item B. So those biased observability is something we wanted to avoid for our creators so we can provide them better insights. And another type of common pitfall in biased observability is the item performance confounded with the model performance, as explained earlier. Like maybe it's just because our model is not doing a good job between the two items. It's not because the item's performance being better than another. And another one, as explained earlier, is that like often people can be short-sighted here, like especially if we have some items like clickbaits or some like signals that are maybe like immediately give us lots of engagements in the short term, but it does not translate to long-term user engagement. So those are the common pitfalls we have discovered. Then what will be our approach? The first one here is that we have designed some like dedicated traffic in our recommender system through a lot of efforts to explore, to break the feedback loop, to break the filter bubble. At the same time, we know those like explore, they are like easily hurting user experience, especially short-term experience. So we made a lot of efforts to make sure it's not affecting the user's experience. The way we do it is that like we added a bandit on top of our neural networks of recommender system. So where the bandit is like a dedicated traffic for our Explorer, where we can explore all the possible items for each user at a given percentage. So this way we are able to like use the explore data to provide some unbiased performance data for our model and also item. And in the long run, it helps with our recommender systems observability and performance. So we also try to derive unbiased performance metrics based on the explore propensities, because like from this bandit, we have all the data and then we are able to derive different performance metrics like towards trying to think about how to make each of the metric less biased. So here, another very helpful approach we found out is to really able to decouple the item performance and the model performance. For example, like for the role performance, we can look at those unbiased performance metrics and see how they are like how much they are better compared to a random average of the role. And for the model performance, we can do something similar for models. And in the end, we will be correlating them with the long-term view. So this way, we avoided our observability to be short-sighted. Okay, then talking about the productivity. One like very interesting topic arising these years is that right now we are into the new era of large language model. Then how can we use large language model as a new tool to boost the productivity of our in-house creators? So there are lots of things we can do here, right? Traditionally, we have some like a foundation model serving our different recommender systems. For example, they can be used to rank the rows, talk about rank the different group of contents on our homepage to decide which one comes into which position. And our foundation model has also been traditionally used by like rank the contents in each of the role. So now, like when thinking about what are the new tools we can build as empowering our creators for creating more roles, we can think about like more different approaches here. Traditionally, we have those like large language model inspired training, and they have been evolution going on in recommender systems. And now, like we with this language-based uh, large language model, like for example, Llama and those models from OpenAI or Anthropic, we are able to also use them to build new roles. For example, on those LLMs combined with external information, we are able to generate some like a contextual roles. One example would be like we can use that to generate some role combining with those like trending information happening in the world, like news, to generate some like a new and popular role. And if we combine these tools with the member needs, we can generate some assistive roles, meaning that like those are roles are crafted to be tailored towards users' specific interest, and then we can group them with some explanation. So this is to like a new roles tailored for members' specific need. So those are just like more possibilities for us to do, and we can explore different ways of using large language model as new tools to build new roles. Okay, so with this, we have talked about different approaches like fairness, observability, and new tools for our in-house creators to boost the productivity. In the next, let's focus on the system side. The question we want to ask ourselves is that we want to build a resilient recommender ecosystem. Then what do we need to do? Our answer here is that like we want to be able to have a robust uh, recommender system. This is mostly because like on the Netflix side, although we control our own contents and still like we want our recommender system to be robust, like really like in a long term. And at the same time, we also want our recommender system to be adaptable because we are in an environment that things are always changing. So how do we achieve the robustness and also adaptiveness here? The first question we ask ourselves is that really when we are thinking about the robust, we are really like thinking about this from a long-term perspective, not so much from like the attacks we have, but more thinking about, oh, we have a North Star, which is optimize long-term user satisfaction on Netflix as this subscription model. It will be just like retention of users. However, how do we achieve this North Star? Because we know the retention user signals, especially for a monthly subscription model, it can be super noisy and it can be also influenced by some external factors like economic recession. And also, these retentions are often known as low sensitivity because only members who are already on the borderline may really like consider it if they want to renew or not renew, but we want to capture the signals for all of our users. And the third challenge of the long-term satisfaction is that it is really hard to attribute because like a user might only cancel after many, many bad recommendations, but we do want to be able to attribute those bad recommendations earlier so we know how to improve. So what do we do to make the long-term satisfaction optimized? Our answer here is that delayed feedback is really a big challenge, particular for Netflix. Uh, and that's some challenge that we need to solve first. So to explain a bit more about the delayed feedback, so imagine you are watching, for example, TikTok, then like you will watch the video, and then if you like it, you will like probably like watch it until you finish. If you don't like it, you just swipe it. But for Netflix, it's not the case. Like user may start a show and then only after weeks to complete it because like our videos on the platform have been really long, and it's a similar thing for our games, which means the feedback of us getting from Netflix is usually quite delayed feedback. And like if we consider other signals, for example, thumb up, it might be even after several weeks user complete the show. So what do we do with this challenge? Um, we are developing patterns here, mostly like by this predicted delayed feedbacks. Like because we know the feedbacks are delayed, then maybe like just like when the user's first several signals comes in, like user started to play, then we can predict what are these like more medium term or even like longer term user feedback they may have. And by predicting this like delayed proxy rewards, we can then combine multiple of these rewards together to optimize for the long-term user satisfaction. So then another problem arises here. So we know the direct feedback is about the content, but the content, as we talked about earlier, those are served from roles or like group of contents. Then what do we do? So we develop a system like and also infrastructure here where we are trying to address this question across multiple recommender system. Like we know some of the recommender system, they are like focused on the shows and titles, and some of the recommender system, they are focused on the roles. So we try to centralize and share those rewards, long-term rewards, and predicted like proxy rewards in the short term across multiple ones, and we only localize rewards for specific components. So this is a way for us to scale up and optimize for the long-term user satisfaction. And another takeaway here for us, like making our system adaptive, is to navigate through the feedback loops. So we know the different types of bias are often amplified in the feedback loop of the recommender system, and that's also something we saw a lot in our recommender system. So to do that, we try like a few different ways of mitigating the bias. For example, like different approaches from embedded and reinforcement learning. And at the same time, we also seek the early indicators of such bias amplification. Like for example, in one of our recommender system, we found that like entropy and novelty to be like two very helpful indicator to tell us, oh, there might be some like a long-term bias here from our feedback loop, something we need to tackle right now, or for this model. So this way we are able to make our recommender system really adaptive without introducing more bias into the system. Okay, then talking about the robustness and adaptiveness, the third characteristic we want to talk about here is around the diversity. So question here we want to ask is, what is a path to create a diverse ecosystem which is beneficial in the long run? And this spans across the creator side and at the same time user side. So the truth is right now, there are really many types, many different types of diversity for us to optimize in recommender system. So sometimes, like as shown in the bottom here, we felt like our research scientists of recommender system are often just like the Hydra fighting different heights of diversity because there could be so many different types of diversity that we need to consider in our system. Like on the user side, so just to name some example, we can consider diversity of like how different this particular item to the user's previous history, how calibrate them, and we can also consider how sparkling this item is for users' future engagement. Uh, for example, if this is item is some category that the user have never watched before, but the user we predicted to be able to enjoy the content so much that it can open a new window for the user to enjoy more similar types, then this is like an important type of diversity considering future engagement that we should consider, right? And similarly, on the item side, like there are many different levels of diversity. So, when thinking about this diversity of our recommender system, there are really like many stages we need to consider to incorporate these different types of diversity. Like for example, it can be done from a pre-processing. It can also be done from post ranking. For after we have a set of recommended items, then like we can use these different techniques to make it more diverse. And we can also consider it in like model rewards and model architecture. For example, for the user sparkling future engagement diversity we just mentioned, we can consider how to make it as one of the proxy rewards for our user. So the question here is that like, there are so many stages we need to consider for so many different types of diversity. Do we have any principles here to make our lives easier? So that's something we also really want to know. So like leaving it as some like open questions in the end. Okay, so with that, coming to concluding this talk, as we talk about towards a healthy recommendation ecosystem, we talked about productivity, robustness, and adaptiveness, and diversity. So we think like from these different characteristics, by empowering the in-house creators and also like by making our system robust for the long-term satisfaction signal, at the same time adaptive and also diversity aware, we are able to achieve this goal of a healthy recommendation ecosystem where like we can create these flywheels of like serve more roles, help users discover more contents, and then serve more users. User like it, support, and love our contents, and in the end, we can generate more roles. So this is what we consider as a healthy recommendation ecosystem. And with that, I like given the spirit of our Women in RecSys series, I wanted to also discuss with you like what we can learn from this building recommender system of like building a healthy ecosystem to some analogies for our career path. The question we want to ask here is that if we consider our career path, and then consider the learnings from us building the recommendation ecosystem, then how can we be our own CEO? Because we can consider the environment around us, the way the interaction happen for ourselves. They are just also a different type of recommendation system, right? Like sometimes we can be on the creator side, sometimes we can be on the user side. So how do we build a healthy ecosystem for ourselves. So I'm going to share 4 lessons when I was reflecting my career path, and I will also be interested to hear what you will be thinking, and so we can learn together. So the first lesson I would be asking myself and get an answer is that what is the key to productivity? As we talked a lot about how we make our creators of recommender system to be productive. So thinking about our career path, we know like we want like when we consider like a career success, there are usually like more deliverables and more influence. And it's better that we create this flywheel, like of our deliverables, they can create more influence to our society. And then those influence hopefully can be scaled up and help us to make more deliverables. So what's the magic to this flywheel? Like how do we make this happen? I guess different people would have different answers. And personally, like my answer to this is really coherence. I got inspired by like this quote of Steve Jobs, like when he was doing a speech at Stanford in 2005. Like he considered follow your heart to be the most important one, and everything else he consider will be the secondary, which I totally agree. Like if we are really able to follow our heart and be coherent here, so that's where like we can really like discover the most strength and use that as a leverage, a very strategic leverage to help our deliverables to get more influence and then help our influence to scale up to be uh like having more deliverables, because that's really like who we want to become. There are so many areas in RecSys right now, so like really like many areas that we can make some impact. Uh, so really like some opportunities for us to follow our heart, to find our passion. So that's my answer to the productivity. And the second lesson having like from my reflection is that I think career is really like also long-term optimization. We talk a lot about how we do long-term optimization for recommender systems, then how we do it for our own career. This is something like I found, at least myself, often like fall into some blind spots because it's so easy to be obsessed with the day-to-days. I can share like one of the mistakes I made in early of my career. It was when like I was still at Uber at that time, like I was a tech lead, super busy with my projects, and like a colleague from a sister team uh like he wanted to leave the company, so our bigger org threw a happy hour for him. But then just because I was so obsessed with the area I'm leading and like those had like a very tight timelines, so I didn't go to the happy hour. And then I got the feedback from my mentor and also my manager at that time, like which was super helpful. He was like, are you really like are the projects you're focusing on, are they really so important? What will you really remember after many years? I was reflecting this question and realized that, oh, this is actually a blind spot of mine. If thinking my career and thinking about the long-term optimization, then those colleagues, the standing colleagues around us, those are really important for us to think about, like how we can build good memories together and how we can be supporters of each other and always continue our collaborative relationships, no matter what we are, given that we already have like known each other so well and enjoyed our collaboration so much. So from then, I know like for my career, what's really like I want to optimize for the long term. So recovering from this mistake, I got the lesson that like instead of the day-to-day operations, it's really important to think about the long term, what do we want to optimize. Uh, okay, so the third lesson uh, from my reflection is that speak up and stand up. As fellow women in RecSys, I wanted to ask a few questions and see like what are your answer. Uh, is it like possibly like you feel uneasy about like asking for mentorship or like receiving some like coaching sessions? Uh, is it like sometimes like you're waiting for the perfect time to pull yourself forward to discuss your potentials with like other people, for example, your supervisors or like people who are really important to you? And another similar question, is it possible that sometimes you get uncomfortable when talking about yourself and your own accomplishments? At least like for me, for many years, the answer to this is yes or maybe. And then like for like what really like blocks us for these different questions is that like there could be like many judgmental voices happening when we try to speak up. I got this inspiration from Michelle Redfern. Like she was quoting this like different judgments voice as something that they are just the awful tactics to prevent women from speaking up and standing up. And like one important call out in her book Leadership Compass is that like women must speak up and ignore those judgmental voices, that you just need to express yourself, never wait for the perfect time to put yourself forward, and always try to get some mentors, receive some coaching sessions, and getting comfortable talking about and even celebrating the other accomplishments that you have received. And that's also some feedback I received from my own mentor too, like to speak up and stand up as a woman. And in the end, as we talked so much about the diversity-aware recommender system, I also want to talk about this final lesson I have, which is like to fight for diverse community. Like we are here together as fellow women in RecSys, so like there are so many things we can do to help each other. Like for example, initiating those like women in tech, women in RecSys events, like either in our own companies, universities, or the communities around us. So with that, like I really want to surface my very heartfelt thanks to our women in RecSys hosts like Ashmi, Carlin, Oslan, and so like again we are here together and so very much like to be part of this diverse community that we built together. And I hope like you are sharing the same thoughts so we can like discuss any questions we might be faced with and help each other. Okay, so with that, concluding all of my discussions today, just like two quick announcements. The first one is that I co-founded this workshop, Video RecSys and Lunch RecSys workshop at RecSys 2024. So next Monday at Barry, I'm hoping to see you over there. We have many exciting talks this year. And also for Netflix, we are hiring. There are many positions open. So if you are interested in the problem of this we covered today, please feel free to check our job page or come to our booth during RecSys 2024. So no matter for the workshop or like our sponsorship booth of Netflix, I'm just like looking forward to meet with you at RecSys 2024.
Right, Ding, thank you so much for your super interesting and inspiring talk. I think it's really a perfect ending to the Keynote series with all the lessons you learned. So thank you so much. I will turn off the recording now.